Welcome to Sonya's Prep. In this week's video, I will be sharing with you 9 different Shabbat fish recipes that you are sure to love. My hope is that when you are menu planning for Shabbat, that this video will serve as a recipe guide for you to try new fish recipes. And if you're new here, hi, my name is Sonya, and this channel is all about my Orthodox Jewish life, where I share Shabbat meal preps and Jewish holiday inspirations and general tips and tricks as a busy working mom. If you enjoy this type of content, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Now let's get prepping. First up is this bass with pineapple salsa. I think this is called a black bass. That's what my husband said. And it's very simple to make with salt, black pepper, and some fish seasoning. So after washing the fish and placing it on a baking tray, I'll be sprinkling on some salt, black pepper, and fish seasoning. If you don't have fish seasoning, you could use any of your favorite spices that you normally make your fish with. After all the spices are on the fish, I drizzle on a little bit of avocado oil, use my fingers to smear it all in, and bake it in the oven. I bake the fish with the broil setting on for about 7 minutes until it's perfectly crispy. Now, to make the pineapple salsa, you obviously need a pineapple. I dice that into tiny cubes, and after dicing that, I have a red bell pepper there that I'm going to be dicing as well into small cubes, placing that into the bowl. A red onion is going to be diced up next with a bunch of cilantro. For all of my cilantro the haters, I should say, you can definitely use parsley or mint. That's a great option as well. Put in some salt, black pepper, lime juice, and avocado oil, and mix that thoroughly. This pineapple salsa is a showstopper in and of itself. It's so gorgeous with its crazy amount of colors, and it is an absolutely stunning addition to the fish. So I take a plate and I slice up some limes and decorate it beautifully. You can definitely decorate this however you choose, but I thought this would make a very cute addition. And once the fish is out of the oven, I place that onto my plate, and right before serving, I would add in my pineapple salsa over the top. Next up is this delicious teriyaki salmon with whole roasted garlic, and this is how I do it. I simply take a sesame teriyaki sauce and I place it on my cleaned and washed fish. I just put in just enough amount that it covers the entire fish, and then separately I'm going to show you what I'm going to be doing with the garlic. So I have a whole head of garlic that I have peeled and cleaned, and I'm placing that into a 1/4 cup of avocado oil. You could feel free to use any type of oil that you like. I keep them in the oil until they start to brown and just soften slightly, and then as you see, I just threw the entire thing over the salmon, covered it up, and baked it in a 375-degree oven for 20 minutes. It becomes sticky, ooey gooey, and delicious. You can place it back into the oven just to broil just over the top, but it is finger licking good, and my kids absolutely love it. Garlic mayo salmon is actually my husband's favorite way to eat salmon. You simply start off with a side of salmon. I have some dill here that I'm going to be chopping up really finely, and I feel like dill is one of those herbs that just pairs so nicely with fish and garlic. It just goes so nicely together. Then I'm going to be crushing in a few garlic cloves after the dill is all chopped up. So I'm going to be using about 3 to 4 small-ish garlic cloves. You can definitely omit this if you are not a garlic fan. On top of the salmon, I'm putting in about 2 heaping tablespoons of mayo, the garlic and the dill, salt and black pepper, and then I could definitely do this in a different container and then put on the salmon, but why get another container dirty? So I'm just doing this right on top of the salmon, mixing the entire sauce right on top of it and lathering it all onto the salmon. This is basically going to tenderize it and give it a lot of moisture and flavor. I usually baste the salmons like this and keep it in the fridge overnight and bake it the next day. So it's been marinating in this for quite a while. So this I'm going to be baking in 24 hours later, but you can definitely do this right away if you don't have the time. I cook it covered in, again, in a 375-degree oven for about 20 minutes. Now I'm gonna make the burnt salmon with spicy brown mustard sauce. It's a new recipe, and to do this I need about 6 cloves of garlic with about 1/4 of a teaspoon of salt and 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. And then I need to grind this into a paste, like with a mortar and pestle, but I don't have that, but I have this kind of device that my mom gave me, and I'm basically going to do this until it's all a nice paste. And then I'm gonna take this whole paste and smear it all over the salmon. Right before baking, I am going to spray some ham on it. You could also drizzle some oil, just a little bit. So while the salmon is baking, into the same bowl where I made my garlic, I'm gonna make the spicy brown mustard sauce. So for that, we're going to use about 1.5 tablespoons of sugar, 1.5 tablespoons of vinegar, about 1 teaspoon of mustard, about 1/4 cup of oil, and 1/4 cup of dill. Mix all of that up, and as soon as the salmon comes out, this is what you're going to baste the salmon with. So before you put this on your salmon, just taste it, make sure it tastes good to you, and if there's something missing to you, add either sugar or more vinegar or whatever else you feel that it needs. Now that the salmon is out, it is looking gorgeous. We're going to put the mustard, spicy mustard dressing right over the top. You could also reserve this and just put it on the side, but oh gosh, doesn't this look so good? Now I'm making the Moroccan salmon. So I have some red and green jalapenos here with a little bit of oil. I'm using vegetable oil here. Then I'm gonna drop in some cilantro stems and garlic, and I'm gonna season everything with some salt. To that, I'm gonna add in 1 can of chickpeas and about a tablespoon of tomato paste, like you see right here. And I'm also going to be adding this. This is about half a cup of oil with a 1/4 cup of paprika and 2 tablespoons of turmeric. And then I'm just gonna clean out this bowl by adding in some hot water. Mix everything really well. After this cooks for about 5 minutes, I'm going to add in my lemon slices and salmon. I'm gonna take my lemon slices and squeeze them first, and then place them all throughout. And then of course we're gonna top everything off with some cilantro. For those who really dislike cilantro, you can definitely substitute this with parsley. At this point also, don't forget to season the fish. We're just gonna let that simmer for about 10 minutes and it should be perfectly done. I was getting so tired of our usual fish and wanted to create something new and different. And guys, oh wow, it was so delicious. I used a handful of cherry tomatoes, jalapenos, some lemons, and a yellow pepper with about a few tablespoons of oil, some cilantro, garlic powder, salt, paprika, pepper, and some fish seasoning. So to start off, I washed off the fish, placed it into a tin pan, added in a few tablespoons of the oil, seasoned it very well with fish seasoning and all of the other seasonings that I just showed you. After the fish has been seasoned, I add in the vegetables, tomatoes, the jalapenos, and the peppers, and some sliced up garlics over the top. To make the fish look just a little bit more prettier, I added in some thinly sliced lemons right over the center on the top. I wanted something briny and lemony and salty, and I added in capers to go along with it. I used about 4 tablespoons altogether, topped it all off, and it was just the perfect touch to this fish. I seasoned everything on the top with cilantro just to make it look a little bit more gorgeous. I covered the fish with some foil and placed it into a preheated oven set at 400 degrees for about 15 minutes. At this point, the fish has been cooking for about 15 minutes covered, and I want to uncover it and place it back into the oven just to crispen up and have that beautiful golden brownish tinge to it. I place it in the oven for about 5 to 7 minutes. Now the fish is ready and it just looks so beautiful, so gorgeous. You can even put some fresh herbs over the top. It's a beautiful presentation. It has tons of juice on it and it reheats really well. I'm so happy with this recipe and I can't wait for you guys to try it as well. I teased this fish recipe on my Instagram and all of you really loved it and wanted to get the recipe for it. If you're not following me on Instagram, definitely go ahead and do that. And so to get started, I'm going to be using egg roll wrappers. I take about, 3 or 4, however much you can handle, egg roll wrappers, divide them in half and cut them down. And then after you cut them in half, combine all of those halves and cut them in half again to create small squares. Now it's time to fry up these egg roll wrappers. So I have a pot of oil that's already heated up. I drop them into the oil and this literally takes about 3 seconds on each side. It cooks up really, really fast, and I just make sure to flip them over so that they don't have a cone shape, so that they don't like fold up into each other. So I do flip them over quite quickly. Once they get this golden color, they're ready to come out, and I place them on a paper toweled plate just to drain the excess oil. When hosting, I do prepare 1 per person. I also make a few extra just in case they break. So that's all set aside and ready to go. Now separately, I'll be using salmon and cut them into cubes. So I take my salmon, divide them up, cut them up into little cubes, and we're going to get ready to marinate them. Into a bowl, I place in 2 teaspoons of teriyaki sauce and 3 teaspoons of sesame oil and half a cup of your favorite barbecue sauce. You could also add in some garlic powder and mix all of that really well. And that is your simple base for your marinade for the fish. Now I place in all of my cut up salmon into the bowl and give everything a mix and leave it on the side to marinate for a few minutes. Using a cookie sheet lined with parchment paper, I place in the fish in a single layer and bake it in a 350 degrees between 10 to 12 minutes uncovered. The salmon component of our dish is also ready. Now it's time to assemble the entire thing. On a plate or a platter, I place in the fried up egg roll wrapper and top it with some thinly sliced avocados. On top of that, I'm going to be adding in some cucumbers that I've sliced very thinly using a mandolin slicer. The cooked salmon goes over the top and I drizzle on some teriyaki sauce right over the top of it with some spicy mayo. You could either use a piping bag to make nice beautiful strips and designs. Comes out gorgeous as well. Top everything with some scallions and everything but the bagel seasoning. This fish is definitely our new family favorite and we hope that you guys give it a shot and try it out. Next up is a gorgeous salmon recipe that I got from Rory's cookbook. It looked so beautiful that I needed to try it. I cut and slice an acorn squash and I place it on a baking tray. Season the acorn squash with salt and pepper and a little bit of oil. Massage the seasoning and oil into the acorn squash and line them in a single line in the baking tray lined with parchment paper. To finish them off, I add in some date syrup over the top, which just gives them this deep brown color. Place them in a preheated 400-degree oven for about 10 minutes. Take them out, flip them to the other side, and place them back into the oven for another 10 minutes until they're fully cooked through. While the squash is cooking, I'll make the fish marinade. I have all of the measurements in the description box. I used pomegranate sauce, soy sauce, garlic, salt, and pepper, and I lathered all of that onto the salmon. Feel free to adjust the measurements to your palate and liking. Decorate the salmon using thinly sliced lemon slices. Be as artistic as you would like. We all eat with our eyes, so I always like to dress up my food just a little bit. Bake it in the oven at 425 degrees for 10 minutes. Baste it with the leftover marinade and place it back into the oven to cook for an additional 5 minutes and repeat. Add the cooked acorn squash to the baking tray and bake it for an additional 5 minutes. Separately, I made basmati rice to go along with the fish. It's basically 2 cups of rice to 3 cups of water with 2 tablespoons of oil and salt. Oh, how gorgeous does this look? The sides look burnt, but they aren't. I promise you, it's all from the molasses from the date syrup. It comes out super delicious. I sprinkle the top of it with some dill and scallions for the gorgeous contrast in colors. Next, I'll be sharing with you how I make my fried flounder. It is one of our kids' favorite, especially because of the dipping sauce that we use that you'll see later on. So I'm going to be using 2 fillets here of flounder and putting it into a bowl that I've already cracked 1 egg into. Make sure to also remove any of the bones to make it a more pleasurable experience to eat your fish. Let me know in the comments down below if you have any horror stories with bones with fish. I actually did. 1 bone got stuck in my tonsil when I was younger, so it was kind of scary. After seasoning the fish with salt, black pepper, and garlic powder, I'm going to be taking a skillet and adding in some oil to it. I then add in my favorite breadcrumbs into a deep plate. I'm going to be dipping in the fish that we've had like marinating in the eggs, and I'm going to be doing that with each one so that they're all ready to go to be fried up. To test if your oil is ready to cook, just dip in a corner of the fish, and if it doesn't sizzle, then it's not ready, but if it does, then you're ready to fry your fish up. I cook it for about 1 to 2 minutes on each side until they're perfectly crispy, and drain them on a paper towel. For this dipping sauce that I was telling you about earlier, I have mayo, garlic, dill, and some lemon juice with some salt and black pepper. It is absolutely delicious and we thoroughly enjoy it. Well, I hope you enjoyed all of these 9 fish recipes and I hope you recreate them for Shabbat or even for every single day. If you enjoyed this video, I hope you will take a moment to give this video a big thumbs up. It will really help my channel out so much. And if you enjoyed this type of content here on my channel, then please subscribe so you can be notified of when I upload next. Happy prepping and Shabbat Shalom from my family to yours.